welcome back to my channel. This video today is going to be an unhaul. So I'm going to be unhauling some books from my collection. If I end up unhauling your favorite book, that doesn't mean that it's not a good book. It just means that I probably won't read it again or want to read it and would like to give it to a good home. Let's get started with the books that I'm going to unhaul. First up is a book that I kind of bought like impulsively, but I've already read it, and that is Frankly in Love by David Yoon. I had initially read a library copy of this book and decided to get my own copy because I don't even know why, but I just was, I guess, struck by the cover and the blue sprayed edges, so I feel like I had to add it to my collection. But it's something that I feel like, upon reflection, that I'm probably not going to read again or even get back to again, so it's just gonna stay on my shelf otherwise, so I'd rather pass it along. The next book that I'm passing along is Convenience Store Women by Sayaka Murata, a book that I read last year on audio, and I really enjoyed it. However, I don't see myself reading it again, even though it's like a short, quick book. I think I got my enjoyment out of it having read it through audio, and that was enough for me. The cover is really cute though. Yeah, it's just like a little sushi ball. The next book that I'm unhauling today is How to Lose the Time War by Max Gladstone and Amal El-Matar. I had a weird experience reading this book. I believe I read it last year or the year before. When I read it, it was a good book. Like, I could see what merit there was in it. However, it made me feel kind of like a dumbass because I could barely understand what I was reading, and there was a lot of, like, maybe upon reread I would think differently, but I'm really not interested in rereading this book. I don't know. It just wasn't for me, so that's why I'm getting rid of it. The next book that I am not holding on to is High School by Tegan and Sarah. This is kind of like a autobiographical memoir about Tegan and Sarah, who are twin singer-songwriter artists from Canada. I believe they're from Calgary in Alberta. I don't know why I bought this. I like some of their songs. I don't even know why I bought this. Like, it was kind of like I bought it on a whim, and I'm probably not going to get to it. Even though I do enjoy, like, memoirs and stuff, it's just something that I probably won't ever get to. The next book that I'm getting rid of is Loveless by Alice Oseman. I did end up giving this a good rating. I gave it, if you remember my last video, I gave it like 4.25 stars. For this book, it took me so long to get through it because it was kind of it was very much focused on the characters as not so much on like an actual like exciting action-packed plot, which is fine for a book, but I'm finding I prefer more of like the Heartstopper universe than anything else that Alice Oseman writes. I'm currently reading Solitaire on audio, and it's taking me a while to get through as well. So maybe it's just the fact that it's like this book is like almost 500 pages and it's a contemporary, so like there's a lot of like going to school and, you know, talking with friends and stuff, and like, not that I don't enjoy that kind of thing, it's just I don't think I'll be picking this up again considering how long it took me to get through the first time. The next book that I am passing along is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. And this was an interesting book as well. I read it, I believe, in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a nice enough book. It's about a coffee house where if you sit in a certain chair and order a cup of coffee, you get to go back in time, but you can't leave your seat, and you can only go back if you lived before your coffee gets cold, but you're not allowed to leave the seat, which I was like, okay, false advertising, because that would be so cool to have like you racing back to try before your coffee gets cold and have like, but it wasn't like an action-packed book like that. It was definitely more like low-key and very like introspective and like about relations between people, which was fine, but I don't know. I thought I expected more from this book, and I didn't really end up getting what I expected, but it was fine enough as a read, but I don't think I'm gonna read it again, so it's not gonna stay at my shelves. The next book that I'm not gonna hold on to is How to Do Nothing, Resisting the Attention Economy by Jenny Odell. This book I actually did not end up finishing, and the reason was I decided to read the audiobook of this book, and I just found that I wasn't interested in any of the points that were brought up. This is a nonfiction book about basically how to do nothing, and I heard from reviews that it kind of rambles a lot and that it talks about various different subjects and that don't seem to be in relation to each other at certain points, but I didn't really listen to those reviews. So with this book, I just stopped reading it. Despite how beautiful it is, it really wasn't for me, and that's why I'm passing it along. The next book that I'm going to be talking about, that I'm going to be passing along, is Downfall by Inu Asano. This is from the author of Goodnight Poon Poon. I haven't read the other novel, but I saw this and it was, and the art style looked pretty interesting to me, and it looked pretty like bleak, and I like to read like emotions, and it is a manga, and the art style is really, really beautiful. However, I don't think I'm gonna pick this up again. I don't really tend to gravitate towards rereading stuff like this, because there is content warning for rape in this, as well as a bunch of other stuff, and I didn't want to get rid of it solely because of the content warnings. I honestly just don't think I'm gonna pick this up again. It kind of said what it needed to say. And the next thing that I'm going to be getting rid of, which might be a surprise to some people, I feel like considering the amount of volumes, I feel like I would just kind of be better off with the anime. So I'm going to be passing along the My Hero Academia manga, which is volumes 1 to 8. I may decide to keep the first volume, but since I'm not going to keep the other volumes, I may decide otherwise. The reason that I am unhauling the My Hero Academia manga is that I feel like I'd rather just watch the anime, which is kind of like sacrilegious, but I feel like with the amount of space that's remaining on my shelves and the fact that I already put money towards getting the Blu-ray sets of the seasons of the My Hero Academia, that's it for my unhaul. I hope you enjoyed this video, and it kind of gave you a reason to rummage through your shelves and find some books that you may want to part with and give to friends or family or whoever to find a good home. Otherwise, this has been an unhaul, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please hit subscribe if you liked this video, and like it if you liked it, and I hope to see you all very soon for a new video. Okay, bye!